President Trump addressing jail for Liz Cheney and the rest of the J6 committee.
You promised to pardon those who attacked the Capitol. Are you still vowing to follow through with that promise?
We're looking at it right now, most likely, yeah.
Well,
Those people have suffered long, hard. Just remember, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it and they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left.
President Trump addressing the pardons, addressing jail for Liz Cheney and the rest of the J6 committee for crimes they may or may not have committed. We'll see. And the idea would be they should be investigated. And if they committed crimes that are not immune due to legislative privileges, well, maybe they should be investigated by people like Fannie Willis. But here is the president. Now, he sat down with Kristen Welker for a full hour, over an hour. And this was a clip from Free State Will. Now, he's a great follow on X. He's also somebody who's been prosecuted and victimized by our corrupt Justice Department. And he is clipping this. He is facing criminal charges from the DOJ. And now, of course, the question is, will he and many other J6ers be pardoned for their victimization by the corrupt Department of Justice? So he clipped this out from the interview with Trump. And here is what he is looking at and paying attention to.
Let me ask you about January 6th in a different capacity, okay? I think you're going to want to answer this question. You promised to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. Are you still vowing to follow through with that promise?
We're looking at it right now, most likely, yeah.
Well,
those people have suffered long and hard.
Yeah.
And there may be some exceptions to it. I have to look. But, if somebody was radical, crazy, there might be some people from Antifa there. I don't know, because those people seem to be in good shape.
Federal
Whatever
agents,
happened to scaffold?
Yeah, federal agents or federal informants who are committing crimes on behalf of the government, maybe you don't pardon those people, right? Maybe they were being instigators. And if they got slaps on the wrist or they're still being processed or the DOJ is slow rolling their cases, or you got guys like Ray Epps who got a misdemeanor conviction that he was allowed to zoom in on and call in over the phone, never had his house raided or any of those things. In fact, they puffed him up like he was a hero for whatever stupid reason, even though he committed, in my opinion, crimes way worse than any other J6ers. He was there the night before screaming into the building, right? In my opinion, the guy was part of an operation enabled by the federal government. So why would he get a pardon of all the people? No, he wouldn't actually. I think what you would do is see what type of collusion. Now, he's got some protection because he's already pled guilty, so you can't really prosecute him again for that same thing. That's double jeopardy. So he's kind of protected, Ray Epps, in other words, in a way. But what about the people who were enabling Ray Epps who haven't faced crimes yet? Maybe they should be investigated. And if there's probable cause to charge them with the crime, let me say, if there's reasonable suspicion to investigate them, you investigate them. Then if there's probable cause to charge them, then you charge them. Then if the jury finds beyond a reasonable doubt that they're guilty, then they go to jail. Here's the president.
Scaffold man. You know who Scaffold Man was? He stood on a scaffold telling everybody to go and nothing happened to him.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Ray Epps? Now, I don't know anything about Ray Epps, but it was sort of strange the way he was talking. Where is he? What happened to him? Because the people that did very little, they arrested an old woman because I don't think she did anything. They don't even know what she did.
Stood there.
These people have suffered. Their lives have been destroyed. Yeah. And yet in Portland, where they burn down half the city, they burn it down all the time. It's like a, routine occurrence. They don't do anything. They attacked the courthouse, federal courthouse. They always say federal building. Okay. They destroyed the beautiful limestone exterior of the courthouse in Portland. They killed people in Portland. Seattle, people got killed in Seattle.
Yeah.
They took over a big chunk of the city. They took it over. They took the city away. Minneapolis. It looked like when they said this is a friendly protest, and yet over the poor slob from CNN, his shoulder, the entire city was burning down. It looked like World War II. Nothing happened.
The police department, the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis, got burnt to the ground. The police department. And then Kamala Harris came out and was posting on her X account, her social media, saying, we need to bail those people out. That tweet is still up, in my understanding.
They took over the police station in Minneapolis. They burned it down. Nothing happened to anybody. And yet these people have been in jail, and I hear the jail is a hellhole. They've done reports, and you would say that's true. They've done reports. This is the most disgusting, filthy place. These people are living in hell. And I think it's very unfair. But most likely I'll do it very quickly.
Very quickly. Okay, but some of them, 169 of them, have pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers.
Because they had no choice.
900 pleaded guilty to other crimes. They're also going to be eligible for a pardon from you?
Of course.
It's a very tough system. Do you know, almost nobody, I saw people that didn't even go into the building and they were convicted. And you had the police saying, come on in, come on in.
Tapping them on the shoulder.
You know, the police are saying, come on in, everybody, come on in. Yep. They had people, you know, you have a lot of cameras. They don't want to release the tapes.
No, they don't.
They don't want to release the tapes.
So, but you're going to consider pardoning even those who've pleaded guilty to crimes, including assaulting police officers?
Yes.
Sometimes they say, here's your choice.
You're not ruling it out.
Look, I know the system. The system's a very corrupt system. They say to a guy, you're going to go to jail for 2 years or for 30 years. Yep. And these guys are looking, their whole lives have been destroyed. For 2 years, they've been destroyed. But the system is a very nasty system.
Okay.
Man, this is such a good clip. It makes me so happy to hear him speaking this way because it's the truth. It's called a trial tax. You want to go to trial in Washington, D.C. that voted 93% for Kamala Harris? You call that a trial by a jury of your peers? Not even close. So then you have these hack prosecutors who are as partisan as they come, who are not following their honorable oath to do justice. They get their little stupid badges and all the things, and they go to these little events. They're prosecuting people to wreck their lives. They come in and they're dead right, man. You go to trial, you lose 30 years. Look at the Proud Boys, 20 plus years. Look at Stuart Rhodes from the Oath Keepers. Over 20 years. He wasn't even there. Enrique Tarrio wasn't even there. These guys were in Telegram groups talking garbage and smack to each other. And that was seditious conspiracy to take over the Capitol. It's insane. Okay, it's lunacy. So Trump is right to pardon all of them. These are due process violations. They never had a fair shot. There was never fair grand jury proceedings. There were never fair judges. The defense attorneys were on their heels the entire time, and they had millions and millions of dollars. They had the J6 committee beating people over the head with a narrative for something like 8 hearings that had Hollywood production values. This was a bloodbath from day one. They never had a fair shake, and so they all should be pardoned.
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Let's go.
These people have been there, how long is it? 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
You know, by the way, they've been in there for years, and they're in a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open.
Shouldn't be allowed to be open because it's a violation of the 8th Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment. Now, here's another exchange where they're talking about the January 6th committee, which, of course, is going to have a lot of legislative immunity that protects them from any criminal repercussions and protects them from jail. But did they commit other crimes? Or what about the future investigation? Right. Let's say Liz Cheney gets a pardon from Joe Biden and she cannot be prosecuted at the federal level anymore. Does that preclude her from being prosecuted at the state level? Probably, but not 100%, and hasn't been tried before. So maybe you have some other people like Fani Willis or Alvin Bragg on the right who bring charges against her at a state level for some type of state level crime. And I'm sure you can come up with some of them. Maybe there was Stephen Passatino can claim happened based on her interfering with his client that put him in criminal jeopardy, right? Manipulating evidence to put somebody in criminal jeopardy, a state level offense. And that is what Liz Cheney did by interfering with his client, which was Cassidy Clavicle Girl. Something, right? Come up with something. Doesn't even have to be good because, of course, the standard has already been set by Alvin Bragg and Tish James and Fani Willis. If there's political willpower to go do it, and Liz Cheney's one of the most corrupt people who's ever existed in my political life, maybe there's enough momentum there to go and prosecute her. And I'm not saying it's illegitimate. I'm just saying you make an argument, just like they made their arguments that Trump stole classified documents and Trump committed an obstruction against America, right? Conspiracy against rights in the J6 case. Okay, whatever. Easily make those claims. Conspiracy against rights, although that's a federal statute, right? So you get the point. You get the analog. Liz Cheney gets pardoned and she gets prosecuted for some other event. That's one option. Now, another option would be Liz Cheney gets pardoned, then Congress orders her to come in and sit down via subpoena to testify, and she doesn't do that thing. Liz Cheney's not in Congress anymore. So that then now becomes obstruction of Congress, referred over to Trump's DOJ. That's the same prosecution that they got Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro for. So those are new crimes that are committed, not based on her past conduct for being corrupt on the J6 committee. Maybe she's pardoned for those. Maybe she's got legislative immunity for all of those, which I think is a strong argument because that is very broad. But moving forward in the future, you want to get to the bottom of this. Maybe you don't prosecute Liz Cheney per se because you can't because of immunity or pardon power or whatever, but you then continue the investigation to determine why they deleted evidence, why she interfered with Stephen Passatino's clients, why they were manipulating evidence to create stories about clavicle attacks and so on and so forth. And this whole thing can start up that way. Now, the investigation should happen. And if Liz Cheney was acting, in my opinion, outside of of the scope of legislative immunity. Is she claiming absolute immunity? I mean, this is what they just got done lecturing us about. You say the president is absolute? You think Liz Cheney could go out and just shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and she could get away with it because she's a congresswoman? No, there's legislative boundaries, right? Just like the president has boundaries on his immunity, there's the 3 buckets the Supreme Court gave to us. Not immune if it's outside the powers, it's presumptively immune if it's within the powers, and it's absolutely immune if it's constitutionally articulated. So maybe we have those 3 frameworks with Liz Cheney, and maybe her conversations with Clavicle Girl are outside of that immunity because she was doing it not while Congress was in session. She was doing it from her home in Wyoming or wherever, which she was at the time. And maybe Wyoming has a problem with that, right? And they want to investigate her and prosecute her for that. So there's a lot of options here, but the point is, we're not done. Why did they delete these transcripts? They have no duty to preserve these things and so on. It's a cover-up. They're a part of a cover-up. They tried to manipulate evidence to conspire against Trump and to conspire against us to smear him with a fake insurrection. And there should be repercussions. And I'm glad to hear Trump saying this.
NBC News is reporting that President Biden is considering giving preemptive pardons to the likes of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci. If President Biden doesn't issue those pardons, do you think they are going to wish that he had? Are they going to be pursued?
I can tell you this about Cheney, and she's a so-called Republican. I think she hurt the Democrats terribly.
Yeah.
When I saw that Kamala put Cheney out on the campaign trail, I said, that's the end of Kamala. I really did. I thought it was a terrible move, especially if you're a Democrat.
We were laughing too.
Cheney did something that's inexcusable, along with Thompson and the people on the Unselect Committee of political thugs and, creeps. So the Unselect Committee went through a year and a half of testimony. They deleted and destroyed all evidence of that they found. You know why? Because Nancy Pelosi was guilty. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 troops. You wouldn't have had a J6 because other people were guilty. The people that said that I attacked 2 Secret Service agents in a car. I grabbed one around the neck. I was then rebuffed, and I grabbed the other one. These are 2 of the toughest men anywhere on the planet. They happen to be slightly younger than me, maybe, just a little bit. Let me just tell you. They testified. They said it was total. And all of this stuff came out. People lied so badly. Now, listen, this was a committee, a big deal. They lied. And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir.
And Cheney was behind it.
Yeah, and is that immune? Is corrupting your office, is that supposed to be immune, right? Oftentimes when you go into the legal analysis of these things, no, bribery and public corruption are not immune, right? Like you can't be elected and then do whatever the hell you want, even if it is undermining the legislative branch, right? Would be the argument. Now, legislative immunity is very powerful, but there are certain things that are excluded, which is public corruption. So maybe you can make that argument.
So was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did.
Yeah.
Honestly, they should go to jail.
Yeah.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
Yes, he just
For
said
what
that.
they
Everyone
did.
on the committee, you think
I think
should
everybody
go to jail.
anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
No, not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
When you say that,
on
it carries
strengthening the
weight,
wood.
though. You've tapped these people to lead the Justice Department and FBI.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Biden can give him a pardon if he wants to, and maybe he should. Just remember, Unselect Committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it, and they destroyed almost everything.
Yep.
There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny
If you
doing
do that in a civil case.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They admit that some of those records are gone. They admit the records are gone. They say, we didn't delete it, though. We just weren't required to preserve it. And by the way, the records that they have preserved are a joke. Okay, we covered the Ray Epps saga here is in great detail. We read through his actual deposition in front of the House committee, and it was like a mess. The transcript didn't even disambiguate between who was, like, which different Congress people or representatives were asking questions. They were compound questions. They were all talking over each other. It was a cover-up, okay? They had a conversation, and they're like, let's get the dumbest transcript person in this room who can type it. How many words do you type a minute? She's like 17. You're like, perfect, you're great. So have you ever done this before? No. Great, you're perfect. So sit right over here and just transcribe this. And then they didn't identify the speakers, and they asked compound questions so that the answers were all inarticulate. As soon as they were asking Ray Epps about whether he went into the building, then there were people who were chiming in there. It's like, blah, 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 blah. And then everything got into a jumbled mess. It was a disaster. And they said that that was good. And that's some of the stuff that we got. The other stuff that they just deleted, well, we're not required to archive this. We don't need to archive any of this because the record has already been clear. They didn't want the Republicans to get their hands on it when they took back over power. And they deleted evidence, and it's a cover-up.
You go to jail.
You know they deny doing that. And officials say that the
Trump
order never
away.
came in for
They
the
put
National
out
Guard.
a statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me
Incredible.
ask you this about you.
Man, Trump is sharp as hell. No, Kristen. He wrote it in a letter. We read it here.
January
Amazing.
6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be
Not really.
just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me.
They were liars. They didn't really have
Secret Service
anything.
testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people.
Yeah.
They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people look like criminals. And I will tell you, it's illegal for them to delete and to destroy that evidence.
Yeah, and it's dishonest, and they did it to be dishonest. They brought out their 8-part series. They thought it was going to wreck Trump and MAGA and everything, and it made them look foolish. It made them look like they were grasping for something because they were grasping for something. You can tell when somebody comes and they're going to deliver a class presentation and they're not really prepared, or they're trying to stretch an argument to make it look like it's going somewhere and it's not. And that's exactly what they did. They got caught doing it. It backfired on them massively, which is why they had to concoct. Remember, the clavicle girl, Cassidy Hutchinson's saga, that didn't come out until like middle of the season. The reviews were already in. They're like, this is bad. This is not looking good. We really need to spice this up. So they got her and they attacked him with a clavicle. Oh, they brought her out in her white little sports coat, whatever. And it was exciting for the media. Turns out it was all a lie, and it made them look even worse. But they're now watching Trump, who has been paying close attention. All right, very close attention. He says, no, they wrote a letter about this whole thing. Go look it up. So you can see here, most likely going to be pardon people. Says the J6 committee should be in jail. Here's the article. Says elect Trump is going to pardon them, saying the people were being held living in hell. Going to act very quickly. The numbers are, we got 1,500 defendants currently have been charged. More than 1,200 have been convicted. And Trump said they had no choice. Of those, at least 645 have been sentenced to incarceration, all the way up to 22 years. Right now, 250 people are in custody, most of them serving sentences. A handful are being held in pretrial custody. Trump didn't rule out pardoning people who may have even pleaded guilty, as we heard. And so good news over there from the president. Now, Liz Cheney has responded. She's over on the Huffington Post, says the calls for her to be jailed are dangerous to democracy. Said Trump's assertion that she should be jailed is yet another effort to, quote, undermine the rule of law and the foundations of our republic. Liz, you need a new writer. Hire somebody else or go to ChatGPT. Come up with something new. Cheney was one of the 2 Republicans on the House Select Committee, along with fake Adam Kinzinger, neither of whom are Republicans. Cheney did something that's inexcusable. Honestly, they should go to jail, says Trump. Cheney said on Sunday, Trump was lying. She said, here's the truth. Donald Trump attempted to overturn the 2020 election and seize power, she said in a statement. He mobilized an angry mob and sent them to the Capitol, where they attacked police officers, invaded the building, and halted the official counting of the votes. Trump watched on television as police officers were brutally beaten and the Capitol was assaulted, refusing for hours to tell the mob to leave. All right. The former lawmaker went on to call Trump's efforts the worst breach of our Constitution by any president in our nation's history. She said Donald Trump's suggestions that members of Congress who later investigated should be jailed is an assault on the rule of law and the foundations of our republic. And I'm wondering if Trump is saying these things so that it will instigate a pardon, to be honest with you, because I think a pardon for them, like if Liz Cheney gets and accepts a pardon, and if Fauci gets and accepts a pardon, right, all these people, Kinzinger gets and accepts a pardon, it's going to be devastating to them, to their credibility and to their future. I think Trump knows that. In other words, it is going to be a self-admission that they're corrupt. Okay, Trump can go in and the Republicans can go in and investigate them to the end of the earth and find tons of nefariousness. And if they just stand firm and say, we didn't do it, this is just politics as usual, okay? It'll just be that. It'll be like a 50-50 split moving forward. But if Cheney comes out and accepts a pardon, that's her admitting that the DOJ that she was standing behind over the last 4 years and was saying is so incorruptible is corrupt or can be corrupted very quickly just with a different person at the top of the helm, right? And it does two things at the same time. It minimizes their side and it elevates our side. We're saying, yeah, the DOJ is corrupt. It's easily corrupted. All you need is Biden and Garland and Monaco and you're done. Or Obama and Holder and you're done. So if they then say yeah, you're right. All you need is Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and we're screwed. That validates Trump's side. He's like, I know, I told you. So not only does it minimize their credibility, but it basically proves Trump's point, which is why the pardon is an interesting tactic. And then I'm thinking about options. Okay, if they get pardoned, can you still prosecute them at the state level? Maybe, maybe not. If they get pardoned, can they be subpoenaed to testify? And if they don't testify or testify untruthfully, you hit them with lying to Congress or obstruction of Congress and refer them to Pam Bondi. She prosecutes them and Kash Patel can raid their houses. So those are some other options. Now, Liz and Benny and the rest of the J6 committee, I mean, there's a bunch of them. That was Raskin was on there, Benny Thompson. There was a bunch of people on there. So will they all get pardons? Will some of them reject a pardon? Who knows?